Okay, guys, welcome to the call, our rock and call on Thursday night. Tonight, me and Jayla Townsend are in Vegas, and we are live in Vegas. It's still light here. It's still early here. It's only 6 o'clock here, and so we haven't even had dinner yet. So we've been having a lot of fun today. We had a fun day where we went and got our hair washed and hair blow dried and tried to look good for the call, but just had a little bit of pampering done today because we feel like we worked really hard the last 2 days. Although we enjoyed every minute of it, and we really felt like we got a lot of value from this. Just to kind of give you a quick background, the reason why we came to Vegas is because Eric Worre, who is a network marketing pro guru who is not particular to any company. He's just an industry guru that trains on leadership and growing your business. And I follow him pretty good. I really like him a lot. I feel like he has a lot of really good information. He has a book out. This is called GoPro. And most of his stuff he does on Facebook or on YouTube. And he has so much information and videos on YouTube that you can find. But he was doing a new training product that he's going to be putting out. And it's a whole series of modules that he's going to sell separately or as a whole pack. And he was taping this video series here in Vegas where he lives. And so 3 weeks ago, he decided he wanted to have a live studio audience for these things that he's training on. And so he offered these the audience members that if they wanted to come, they could have tickets for $50 for 2 days. And so it was just too good of a deal for us to pass up. We decided to just jump on a plane. I had some frequent flyer miles, and Jayla decided she just couldn't pass it up either. And we just decided to come for the week, and we're so glad we did because it was really invaluable training that even though our brains are very, very full, and it was, we got there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we did not leave until at least 10:30 each night. And they let us have like an hour for lunch and an hour for dinner if we were lucky. And if we didn't get back in time, then we missed stuff, and we didn't want to miss anything. And the whole audience was completely full for all the sessions. That like everybody just ran and stood in line for fast food and got food as fast as they could and came back because the information was just so good. So we want to bring to you guys at least some of what we learned, and especially the highlights of what we learned at this training. And so that's why our notebooks are full, our brains are full, and we wanted to just give you some of the things. A lot of the information that he first went over was things that I had heard him say before. And in GoPro, the book, if you haven't read GoPro or listened to it on audio, you really should do that. I really recommend that to everyone that is first starting their business, or if you want to restart your business, if you're now getting serious about your business, that is really a great book to start with. It really gives you belief in network marketing and really kind of shows you the integrity of this business and the freedom of this business and why you want to do this business. It's just, a no-brainer as to why you want to do this business. So that book's a really great one. That's kind of what got me started on Eric Worre, is reading GoPro. And so a lot of the stuff on the first day, maybe the first half of the day, was things that maybe I already knew, but it was still really great stuff. So we want to go ahead and bring to you a few things that we really learned. Yesterday was a lot more in-depth. Some of it was leadership training. A lot of it was really just how to grow your team, and really, really good tips on how to grow your team. And I know you guys really want information on how to grow your team, really on the how-tos and the step-by-step process, and that's what we want to give you. So Jayla took some notes. Well, we both took some notes, but she took some notes talking about what we're going to talk about on this call. And the first thing we're going to talk about is telling your story, because the very first thing you need to know on your business is when you get started is you need to learn how to tell your story, and you need to get comfortable with that story. And so there's things about your story that are very important that you do tell, things that it's important that you don't tell. And so we want to talk to you about that first. That's going to be our first topic. So why don't you take that, Jayla?
Okay. So, in network marketing, a big part of what we do is building those relationships. Well, part of building a relationship is getting to know people. It's a people game, but it's also a numbers game. And so whoever talks to the most people at the end of the day has that many more opportunities than everyone else. And a big part of talking to people is you want to tell them your story and find out about their story. And so Eric really stressed multiple times a formula. There's 4 steps in telling your story. And he even last night at about 10 o'clock had us all role play telling our story. We had to retell our story like 4 times. And he recorded this. So on the modules, this was so important to him that he had this little hands-on episode go on. And so when you tell your story, you need to remember that when you're talking to someone, you need to be pointing to them, you're asking more questions about them. But the very first thing, number 1, is tell them your background. Are you a nurse? Are you a homeschooling mom? Are you a teacher? Did you work in the military? What it is about you that got you started in your career, whatever that may be. And then, talk a little bit about that, what you liked about that, how long it lasted, and then lead into what you didn't like about that. There are reasons why you don't like your current job and you're looking for more. And he said, that you really need to talk about that, because when you talk about what you don't like about your job or what you didn't like about your job, you're building that connection with someone. So that's a really important piece of the formula is, number 1, talk about your background. Number 2, what you didn't like about your job. If you didn't like the time constraints, you couldn't leave for lunch, or if you didn't like that you only got 1 week for 1 week for vacation, or if you had to be in at 9 o'clock and you didn't get home till 7 o'clock. Those are all things none of us like about our jobs. You want the time freedom. You want to be with your families. You want to be able to go on vacation with your family. And how many of you, and I bet everybody can raise their hand because I can too, when you work for someone else, you work a whole lot more hours and put more effort into it than what you're compensated for. When you're working for the man's just trying to get the labor done as quickly, efficiently, and cheaply as possible. Well, you don't win as the employee. So he talked about that's a big piece of what we don't like of our typical employee-based jobs. The third step was you want to talk about the solution you found. For us, all of us on this call, it's network marketing, it's Plexus. That's the solution we have found. We know there is a better way now. We know we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we know that once we get to a certain point, we will have that time freedom. We will have that time with our family. We can go on vacation. We will make more money. That's the real part of this formula. And then the 4th point, he said, talk about how you feel about that future. Go ahead and claim it. Talk in the present tense like you're already there. Oh, I'm so excited because I know that I'll be with my family more, or I have time freedoms and we can travel. So this formula was really a great formula. He had us role play, like I said, several times using these steps. And then the last time he had us role play where we only talked about step 3 and 4. And it was not as effective. It felt very salesy. So his point to that was that make sure you have all 4 points: your background, what you didn't like about it, your solution, and then how you see your future, so that you have a nice round story to share with people, and you're relatable, and it sounds real. It doesn't sound salesy. It doesn't sound pushy. It's just an easy conversation. And these took us 2 minutes to tell our stories last night. We each would tell it in 2 minutes, 2 minutes to one person, and one person would tell it. It's easy to do.
Right. I think it's important for you guys to write this down so that you'll have the formula. I think you need to put 1 is background. 2 is what you didn't like about it. 3 is that you found a solution, what your solution is, and how do you feel about your future. That will be your 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, once you start telling your story, you're going to see that you don't obviously need this schedule anymore. You will know what you need to do. But you're going to do that. And he said what's so important is to practice that story with tell your kids your story, tell your husband your story. What he said that was very interesting and very true, even for me as a diamond at 4 years in, a lot of my family doesn't even know my story at this point. A lot of them don't even know because I haven't told them. So ask people, hey, can I practice on you? Can I tell you my story? And you just follow that script of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, what he said too was that People will hear your 1, 2, 3, and 4, but what they'll really hear is your number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So your number 2 is the most important. Here's the interesting thing. When he asked who in the room thinks, he asked who thinks 1, 2, 3, or 4, which one is the most important? Which one's the most significant? Almost everybody in the room raised their hand on how you feel about the future or what your solution was. And he said, no, number 2 is the thing that people will hear the most, because that's what they can relate to. They want to hear, that builds trust when they hear that you didn't like something. There was something you didn't like. They're like, oh, well, she's a real person. She didn't like something. That's what I'm going to focus on. It brings empathy. The person that you're telling it to wants to help you because you didn't like something about something. And so let's real quick do a real quick thing. We yesterday, and role play with people on your team, or to ask your upline, hey, can I practice my story on you? It gets easier. Trust me, it gets easier every time you do it. And this is such a good thing.
It was kind of awkward when we did it the first time to complete strangers.
Yeah, we had to find somebody we didn't know.
Yeah.
And we had to say, and we had to exchange stories. So I'll do mine first. Okay. So, hi, my name's Jana.
Hi, Jana.
My background is that I was a stay-at-home mom, and I loved being a stay-at-home mom. It was a huge blessing. But what I didn't like about it was that I didn't have freedom financially because I wasn't contributing to the household, but I didn't want to go get a job because I liked the freedom in staying home. So I never thought that I would ever find anything that would bring us that. You know, we just had credit card debt, and the more we bought, the more credit card debt we'd be in. We had 4 kids, and it was really hard just to have any kind of financial freedom at all. Plus, you know, I didn't feel good, and you know, it was hard to think that we would never get out of that situation. But then I found a company that helped me find products that not only made me feel better, but also gave me financial freedom. And now I have the freedom to help other people find that same thing. And that's what I love to do now. And my future is so bright because now the sky's the limit. So that was
you want to be her friend?
Easy. You know, it's just so easy to tell. Yeah. So go ahead and do yours.
Okay. Hey, Jana, I'm Jayla.
Hey, hi, Jayla.
I'm from Georgia. I had to tell everybody that yesterday. I'm from Georgia, and I have been a speech therapist for about 25 years and have worked many traveling jobs where I'm just gone all the time. I miss so much with my children, my babies, my family, and just had to rely on a lot of other people to help pick up the slack where I couldn't do those. So the time freedom is really a big deal for me. And so I worked so many hours till physically I was becoming sick. And I hated that. I wasn't a good mom. I wasn't really even a good speech therapist. I really wasn't efficient at what I was doing and just was getting worse day by day. Then somebody in my family introduced me to Plexus. And I started feeling good. And I really realized that, hey, I'm not supposed to feel bad anymore. I'm not supposed to be that mom that can't get out of bed. Then I realized when I started making that first check, I was like, wait a minute, there is something to this. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Not only can I feel good, I can have time freedoms and financial freedoms. And so I'm really excited for my family and our future with where we can go with Plexus. I'm all in.
Yeah. So, I mean, you see how easy, and it didn't take very long for us to do that. We kind of went through the 4 steps, and we've had a chance to practice this a couple times. So, you know, it's a little more easy, you know, it's a little easier the second, third, fourth time you do it. I've been to some things like this before, so I've done this before as well. So I already knew the concept of sharing what you didn't like about it. But you guys, everybody can do this. Everyone can do this story. And the most important thing is focus on your number 2. Focus on what you didn't like and how you found a solution. It doesn't really make any sense to talk about your solution and what your future is if you don't first talk about the number 2. He had us do it 3 times. The first time we just did it. The second time he had us focus on our number 2 longer, still make the whole story the same length of time, but talk longer about our number 2. And then the third time he had us just say 3 and 4, and we saw how awkward and weird that was. And he basically said, okay, 3 and 4 is what you have been doing this whole time that you've been starting. All you're talking about is your company and what your future is. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what your future is. Nobody cares what your solution is until they know that you have ever overcome a problem that you didn't like. And it makes so much sense when you put it like that.
Yeah, it was really, and he even asked us, he said, how do you feel when you're that person that just focused on 3 and 4? And we were all like, I don't want to do that. That's not fun, first of all. And so he said, there's the issue. you're just coming across as just trying to make a sale, trying to get a new ambassador, and people can pick up on that quickly. They know. And so before you ever get a chance to get to know someone, they've already shut that door in your face.
Right. Very important to know your story, share your story, and then when you get people on your team, teach them how to share their story.
So do you want to talk about getting the first customer next?
Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is getting customers, whether it's your first customer or, you've already got some customers. What are the first things to talk about?
He was talking about that you want to get involved very fast once you decide that this is going to be your business. And the best thing to do is to empty your mind. Get a piece of paper and jot down the first 10 people that you can think of. Keep going. I mean, obviously, don't stop with 10, but immediately think of those first 10 people. And he gave us some ideas of who those 10 people could be. Those are people that support you. You want to start with your warm market, your hot market first. Those two, don't worry about your cold market if you're new yet. That'll come later. But you want to start with this hot and warm markets and talk about the products and your story to those that support you, number one. Number two, people who owe you something. That's a great way to reach people, is to touch base with them. And he had a really, really good point, and this is something I had never thought of. But you know how you support all these other people? You give your business to your insurance person. You have a dental hygienist who cleans your teeth. You have a hairdresser. You have a nail. You have all these people who you give your business to. Well, don't you think it's time that they help support you? I mean, you've been helping them build their business. Now it's time for a little bit of reciprocation.
So this is what he said about the hot market. Your hot market is your lowest hanging fruit. It's the people that are in your family, the people that you know really, really well, your mom, your cousin, your best friend, the people that you see all the time. And so what he said is it's these three words. It's support, respect, and practice. So first of all, you're going to ask for support. So you're going to ask these people, hey, would you let me tell you my story? Would you let me tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing? It would help me because I respect you. I don't expect you to sign up on my team. I respect you enough that I care about your opinion, but I'd really love for your support in trying the product and listening to my story so that I can get good at telling it. And so you're going to say, I really need to practice. I really need your support. And I respect you enough to ask you to be one of the people that help me practice this skill that I need to learn for my business. And then after you tell your story, say, hey, what did you like about what I shared? What about my story did you like? And then say, hey, would you be willing? Is this something that you might be open to? And if they say, no, really, it's not something I want to do right now. Okay, that's fine. But would you be willing to try the products for a month? Just to let me know and give me some feedback, because I really trust you. You're my sister, you're my mom, you're my brother. I really trust your opinion, and I would really like your opinion on these products. I really love the products. I think you will too, but I would love for you to try them so that you can give me your honest feedback. And so that's what you do with your hot market. Your warm market is people that maybe you're friends with, you just know them through church or on Facebook, and those people you just tell them, look, I'm putting together something special, I'm working on a new project, I got a new business, and I really love to run it by you. When can we meet so that I can tell you what I'm doing? And he says, face to face is always better, and we all know that. Face to face, I mean, honestly, if you put somebody in front of me and I can tell them my story, it would be hard to not buy into my passion, because I believe in so much in this industry. I believe in the products. I believe in our company. And so if you have that belief, and there's ways to work on that belief. If you don't have that belief yet, you can borrow that belief from your sponsor. You can borrow that belief from me, from Rod, from Jayla. We have enough belief for all of you guys. So if you're just starting and you don't have that belief yet, borrow somebody else's, because I can sit here and tell you my family's life is completely changed. Health, financial, I mean, so many different things have been improved by this company. So I'm a complete believer. And just the industry itself, and Eric told us so many things about how the industry is growing and how it's becoming, so much, the reputation is becoming so much more part of mainstream industry. And it's going to be more and more like that. And Plexus is becoming a lot more and more of a household name. So the more our reputation gets better, and the more the industry reputation gets great, you know, it's going to set us up right where we need to be. We just have to learn these things that we have to do to get our first customers, to get our first team members. And he gives us, you know, exactly how to do it.
Yeah. And so along with that, when you're talking about those that support you, people that owe you something, people you do business with, people who need the product, we all know someone who needs these products. We know someone who needs blood sugar regulation, or who needs weight loss, or who needs to eat. I mean, we know at least one or two people that need these products. And so that's someone you want to reach. He suggested pick your top 5 people that need the products, and you go tell them your story. And if you're just starting, he talked a lot about, you're not going to have a story right away. You need to borrow someone else's story. There are so many other great stories until you get your own story. And then he said, you know, you want to look for people who can afford it, obviously. But he also said, don't ever prejudge and think that someone can't afford it. You give them the opportunity to tell you they can't.
Right. I love that. What's the next one?
The next thing on our list is, you want to talk about that one, handling objections next, or this
one? Let's see. Let's talk about handling objections.
Okay. Well, we've all been told no if we've been doing this long enough. And no doesn't feel good. No hurts my feelings a little bit sometimes, because I want everybody to love me and I want to fix people. And I know these products can do that. So if you've been told no, like I hope you have, I mean, that's the goal, is being told no. Right? You want people to tell you no.
Yeah. Yeah. The more no's you get, obviously, the more yeses you get. And you know, there's a book out there that's called Going for No, and it basically, you know, what Eric said is, you know, what you become as a consultant, you don't have to worry about whether this person says yes or no. You just have to look at it like, I'm going to tell my story, I'm going to tell the company story, and if they say yes, great. If they say no, that's fine. That's just when you start building the relationship even more with that person, and eventually, more than likely, they're going to come around when they see your success on the products.
He had a really good point. He everything he said just really was very eye-opening, and a different way of looking at things. And I love that, because it gave a new perspective. And this is one of those new perspectives. And he said, listen, there's only 2 reasons for people to tell you no. When it comes down to the bottom line, there's only 2 reasons. One is they have a limiting belief in network marketing. You know, maybe they have a story, maybe they have a negative experience, maybe they just don't know enough about it, or they have a limiting belief in themselves. You know, for whatever reason, they don't think it's for them. Either way, there are, again, he really was good at having 4 steps to overcome these things. And one of the 4 steps, number 1, was to listen. He said, you have got to do less talking when you get to that point, and listen to what they're telling you, because the answer to whether it's a limiting belief in network marketing or about self is in what they're telling you. Number 2, relate. You want to make sure you empathize with them. If they say, no, it's not for me, and he said, then you want to say, yeah, I thought that too, but I revisited it and I really had to think about it, and it is for me. And then this next part, step 3, is where your story comes into play. That's a good point, where then you can tell your story if you haven't already done so, or you may want to repeat it again, he said. And then you're going to ask questions. And he went through a lot of different objections. There are like 21 or more that he went through of things people tell you. People will say, I'm not that kind of person. And he said, well, you need to ask them, well, what kind of person are you talking about exactly? I mean, what does that mean? I'm not that kind of person, when they tell you that. I mean, that kind of is a negative thing, a negative connotation that makes you feel like, well, what did I do wrong? And he said, no, you be strong in your belief, and you stand up and ask that question. Well, what exactly do you mean by that? And then you'll find out that either it's a bad experience or they don't believe in themselves. Do you want to go through all of these? Or just the 20?
We can just go through a few.
Okay. The one I get a lot, and you probably too do as well, is the question is this another pyramid scheme? Is this a pyramid scheme? Is this network marketing? Is this multi-level? And before, my first response was, well, no, a pyramid scheme's illegal. I would never be involved in something illegal. But he really had a good way of going around that, and just, he said to keep talking through that and just explain that, no, we're in network marketing. There's a difference. Be kind, be loving, be true to them, and just explain that, no, it's not that at all. I don't have time for network marketing. How many people have heard people say, I don't have time for that? I get that all the time. Yeah, guys, that's bad. They say they don't have time for it. Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you a story. I work like a lot of you.
Jana, if you could hear me, y'all froze up. No. All right, guys, I'm trying to get them back on. Let's see what happened. All right, bear with them. They were going to sign back in. They got kicked out for some reason. Let's see. Okay, we can hear you now, Jana.
Sorry, our internet just completely kicked us off for some reason. We don't know why. She had to sign back in.
So anyway, people who tell us they don't have time for that, I think that's just an excuse. And he talked about, a lot of times people's going to give you 2 or 3 excuses, and usually that third excuse is the real reason, and I don't have time for it isn't. And so we have to be really creative and just empathize with them, of course, but get really creative and help them find the time. Show them that 5 minutes here and 10 minutes there makes all the difference in the world. I mean, you're going to be doing something in those hours anyway. Jana has the same 24 hours in the day I do, and what I do with that time and what she does with that time, we just have to make the most use of our time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I liked what he said, that, an objection, really, if you look at it as an opportunity rather than an objection, it's where you can educate people. And an objection tells you, what is it that I need to work on with this person, because they're providing me an opportunity for me to share my belief in this. So it's also an opportunity for you to create a better relationship with that person, because you can tell them, I know exactly how you feel. I would have said I didn't have enough time for this too when I started. But what I didn't realize is that you can fit this into the time that you have now. And isn't it worth spending a little bit of time now so that you can have a future that's better than the one you have now? Or are you going to be in the same place that you're in now 10 years from now? The time's going to pass anyway. Mm-hmm. Are you not committed to spending a little bit of time now that you can better your family? So one thing I liked that he said was that network marketing, we raise entrepreneurs for a living. Like, that's what we do. We share with people what we do and what the dream, what the hope is. And then we show them how they can do it, and then they go and do it. And so we learned a lot about leadership in that way, and how, we're not responsible for people for what they do once they join, that we're here for them, but they have, and we learned great ways of when you do sponsor somebody, how you can go about, is that what we're talking about next? When you do sponsor somebody, how you can go about getting them started if they want to work the business, and you want to get them started. This is some of the things that he said were really great. Let's see.
He talked about, you need to validate their decision real quickly. You need to encourage them.
That's the first thing.
And just talk about that. You are such a smart person. You have made the best decision for your future, your family's future. This is a very, very good decision you've made. Just give them that encouragement.
Yeah. Next one is setting expectations, asking them. And then I do this a lot when I sign somebody up. I ask them, why are you doing this? First of all, let's find out what your reason is. What are your reasons for joining? Are you wanting to make extra money? What kind of extra money? What are your expectations in this? What kind of money would you like to earn? What income would make it worth your time of doing this? And, find out where they are in their expectations. And so if they say, I would like to make $500 extra a month. Oh, okay. That's great. How much time would you be willing to set aside to make it worth $500 a month? And then they'll give you a time, and then you can talk about what they're going to do in that time. But the setting expectations is really smart. Getting started list. We all have a getting started list. We have it in the Rockin' group. We have it on videos. We have a lot of different things in the files on our group. Things to do when you get started. Of course, they're going to add them to your leader group and welcome them in. You're going to show them their back office, how to order is the most important thing, what their website is, how they can send their link to somebody for them to order, showing them their back office, their tools in their back office, their shareables, their videos that they can share, different things about what am I going to say when somebody says what is Plexus, or what do I say when somebody says how much is Plexus. We have so many videos for that and different scripts for that and things that you can use, but show people those tools on getting started. But setting those expectations at the beginning is really, really good. And then he said, to tell them that, there's going to be some down days. There's, it's not always going to be great. It's not always going to be, momentum. There's going to be some times where you feel like, you want to quit, or, I don't know, did I make the right decision? And he says, to set that up ahead of time and say, you know what, it's not always going to be great days. And I'm going to know when you're not having one of those great days, because you're not going to show up on, calls. You're not going to be present in the groups. You're not going to call me. You're not going to be texting or messaging. I can tell you, those things are so true, because I have lots of people on my team where I know they're having a down phase. They're MIA. They're not connecting or plugged in. And he says, at the very beginning, tell them that's going to happen. When that happens, what do you want me to do? You've got this why. You've got this expectation of what you want to do. And I'm telling you how to do it is these things. When you stop doing these things, what do you want me to do? And he said, of course, they're going to say, well, I want you to remind me. I want you to tell me, hey, I want you to come contact me and find out why. And then so they've given you that permission to come to you when you are not showing up and say, hey, Jayla, you told me that I could ask you when you're MIA, you haven't been on the calls. I'm wondering if you're having some downtime, and what can I do to help you get out of that? You told me that you wanted some time freedom. You told me you wanted some money freedom, and I need to know, you need to be doing this stuff in order to get that. So what can I do to help you get back in the game? And so if you set that up ahead of time, then the person's expecting it, and they know, hey, you know what? She already told me this was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so it's happening now. And this is how it's supposed to go. So set those expectations is really important. What's the next one?
Also, I think he talked about a lot of, remember, you didn't buy a lottery ticket with your $34.95. This takes work. It takes focus, and you have to put the time in too. I mean, you can't just expect, a lot of times just posting a post here or there is going to bring in a customer or an ambassador, but it takes a little bit more than that. And I think that was really a good point.
I thought that was really good, because he said that, you know, one of the things that he's trying to do as an industry leader is to change some of the old school network marketing things that, you know, has made people think like negatively sometimes. And one of those things is that we, you know, they have portrayed it over a long time that this is easy. It's a get rich quick. You don't have to work. Hey, you know, come on in and I'll do all the work for you. And, you know, it's so not true. It does involve group and work, and it does involve connections, and it does involve, but it's so worth it. When you get that freedom and, you know, and he said, you know, tell people, you know, that I love this part when he said, you know, when people have these high expectations and they're disappointed because they're not where they want to be in 6 months or 3 months. And he says, okay, you know, this is how he handles that. He says, hey, Rod, you know, you're a, you know, IT guy. You know, you make really good income at, you know, American Cancer Society. And, you know, how long did it take you to, you know, get proficient in IT? And Rod says, well, you know, it took me you know, several years of a lot of studying and a lot of hands-on involvement. And I had to really learn this stuff. I had to become passionate about it to get good at what I'm doing. And to get to the point where I could make a good income from it, I had to really get in there and do some work. And so this is the same thing. People, and he was saying, if people would just treat this like they do their job, if they, you know, he said, if you're working for somebody else, you know, you have to be there from 8 to 5. You have to be there from whatever hours, and you're going to have to do the work while you're there. And so he said, suddenly people get their own business, they become an entrepreneur, and all of a sudden they don't have to do anything. And then they don't. And that's one thing that he said, that he calls it the minimalist disease. And he said, son, there's just something about society where we're always saying, well, you know, what's the minimum? What's the minimum I can do? What's the minimum amount of hours I can work this? What's the minimum? And he calls it the minimal disease. And he said, you know, people just get out of that mindset of what's the minimum, like what's the maximum? What's the most hours I can put into this to get to where I want to be in the fast amount of time? And he said, you know, we talked about level of what do you call them? Levels of people that level 5. We wanted everybody to be a level 5.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Let's talk about that.
That was really good.
That was a really great thing. And he talked about also, would you go to a doctor who had no passion or training? No, you wouldn't go to a dentist. You wouldn't go to any of these people.
You got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort to be where you want to be. You know, if you just want to get your products paid for, then yeah, you can put in, you know, 10 or 15 minutes a day and post and, you know, get customers and do that. But if you're looking to make this an income, if you're looking for freedom in this, you know, it's going to take work and time. But the great thing about it, and this is just me saying this, the great thing about it is that you can work when you want to. You know, you can work where you want to. I work a lot, but I choose to work a lot. We're in Vegas working. We're looking at the strip out our window right now, and it's beautiful. And we had so much fun today just going in. But we chose to do that. We chose to come here to learn more. And if you have that entrepreneurial mindset that you're going to do whatever it takes to get to that level of freedom, and he said, sadly, most people won't do that. Most people are going to be minimalist. And this is the other thing he said, and I know I'm jumping all over, but I keep thinking of really great things that he said. But he said, it doesn't take much to stand out in network marketing, and especially in your company. He said, the majority of the people do minimal. The majority of the people do as little as possible, and it doesn't take much. What was he saying about, like, most people won't read books? Most people won't do any education. Most people aren't going to get on calls. I mean, just the fact that you guys are on the call tonight makes you way far ahead of most network marketers that won't ever even do something like this. So just think, if you did a little bit more than what you're doing, and that's another thing he said, you know, if you improved yourself 1/10 of a degree each day, which is, he said, he goes, it's a one extra smile. It's, you know, it's one extra page in a book. It's 10 minutes of this or 5-minute video. If you just improved yourself a little bit each day, then in a year from now, you would be 100% better than where you are now. And so I think that's one thing that we need to do. If we really want to be ahead of everybody else, if we really want to be exceeding in this company and succeeding in our life in general, we have to do more than the average person is going to do. And that's the thing. Most people aren't going, that's why they're average. Most people aren't going to do the extra things to get ahead. So, okay, so he gave us some statistics, and he said out of 100 people that sign up, so you got your 100 ambassadors. If you had a team of 100 people, 70 of those people are going to be consumers. So 70 of those people are going to probably be wholesale buyers that just only buy the products. They're never going to do anything. They're going to recruit zero amount of people. They're not going to get any customers. There's just going to be product users. 20 of those are going to be social enrollees, meaning they're going to sponsor 1 or 2 people, and they might get a customer here and there. They're going to make a little bit of extra money on their check, and it's not going to be anything that they're going to do extra. 5 of those people are going to be retailers, meaning they're going to recruit 3 to 5 people, meaning those are going to be your silver ambassadors. 5 out of 100. 3 are going to be recruiters, meaning they're going to recruit 6 to 9 people. I don't know if this is exactly what it is with Plexus. It's probably a little bit different, but overall, this is what he's saying in network marketing. 2 of those are going to be super recruiters, meaning they recruit 10 plus people. So 70% of all distributors are brought in by the number 5 person that's a super recruiter. So the super recruiters are so rare. So if you bring in 10 or more people, you are far and ahead above anybody else. And so he was saying that if you can get a level 5 ambassadors on your team, level 5 people that are going to recruit at least 10 or more people, that is going to give you a superpower team. So if you can work on level 5 people, getting the people or getting your level 1 people to a level 5, if you can get a level 2 person that's sponsored 1 to 2 people and get them excited and get them motivated and teach them how to get in, 10 or more people, they're going to become a level 5 person. And that's what's going to explode your team into momentum.
And he was talking about, okay, if you only had a team of 10 people, 7 are consumers, 2 are social enrollers. So the numbers change a little bit. But if you're on this call and maybe you're a level 1, you haven't recruited anyone, the question you probably should ask yourself is, well, how do I get to that level 5? What do I need to do? And it's kind of the same way. You want to have fun. I mean, if it's not fun, who wants to do it? But just like you would work for a promotion or a different job or a different rank at your job, you're going to put in all that effort and all that time for a season. And that's the same thing with Plexus. Yes, we're constantly adding and building and working, but there are times when you have to push a little bit harder too. Yeah. It's all in what you want. I mean, it's all about priorities, really.
And he talked about getting somebody started right off really fast. So when they come in and join, even if they're wholesale, it's so important to get their 3 people in, get them silver right away, because he was talking about the statistics. If you can get somebody a paycheck in their very first month, even if it's a small paycheck, their chances of staying are so much higher. So when somebody starts out and they just join, say, hey, let's get 3 of your friends to do this with you. You're going to need, partners to get healthy with. You're going to need accountability people. Let's get you 3, let's connect me to 3 of your closest friends, your family members. Let's get them on this with you. And he was saying, if you can get people started with customers and or ambassadors as soon as they sign up, your chances of them becoming a level 5 ambassador is going to drastically improve. Drastically. So a lot of people, they don't see that belief when they first come in. But as soon as I can't tell you how many diamonds have told me that when they got their first $100 check when they went silver is what made them see the opportunity for what it was worth. And they started going to work just by seeing that first $100 check. And I can tell you, for me, that's what happened. I didn't have any belief in myself. I liked the products. I didn't really know the company. But when I saw that first check that I got, and it was for something that I would have done anyway, just sharing something that I liked with my family, it showed me that this was possible. And so if you've got somebody that has the potential to be a level 5 person and they see a check for just sharing this with 3 people that you're going to help them do, that can radically duplicate your team. Radically.
Well, and with the promotion going on this month, the extra bonuses for silver and gold, now is the great time. And that was one of the things he said. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start right now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't procrastinate and keep putting it off, because you're just going to find something else to do. You're going to say, oh, I'll start tomorrow. I'll start when school starts back. I'll start when the kids are on a routine, and I'll start in September. And no, just start today. Just do it. Just make a little bit of effort. Have fun and just try to do the best you can. And we all want to work together and help each other do the best we can. I mean, these incentives this month are really awesome.
One thing I wanted to say back to the part where he talked about objections, because I get this one all the time. The 3 top objections I get is I don't have enough time, I can't afford the products, or I'm not a salesperson. Those are the 3 that I get. And what he says is when somebody says they don't have enough money, what they're really saying is you haven't showed enough value to justify spending my money on that. Because we all know that anyone can find $100 if they really were desperate for it. They can sell something. They can borrow from somebody. They can find $100. If you had something happen and you had to find $100 to fix your car, you would be able to find it. So what you have to do is you have to go to work presenting to them why this is worth their $100. So you have to show them the value in our products by showing them testimonies and things like that. If somebody says they don't have enough time, is that you haven't shown them enough value for their time. You haven't shown them that, hey, you know what? If you could put a little bit of time in this, this is what it would do in return. I have people tell me all the time, I don't have enough time for this. Okay, so really, you don't have 15 minutes a day. You don't have 20 minutes a day to do the minimal that you have to do to get your business started. I think that if I showed you, like he was saying, to contact a large amount of people, and if you had, what was the analogy? He said, if I told you that you could give away $1,000 to every single person that you could tell your story to in the next 24 hours, but you couldn't tell them you were giving them the $1,000 till after you told your story, how many people would you find to tell your story to?
And it's unlimited. You could tell it to just as many, and it wasn't coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
It was something that you could give to anyone.
How hard would you work to get your story told to as many people as possible if you knew that they were going to get $1,000 for every time you told your story? I mean, you would go to work, and that's just it. This is about the person that's signing up. This is about the customer that's going to buy. It's about them. It's not about you. And we got to think about in those terms that if it's about them, you're going to come across not salesy at all. They're going to trust you. They're going to want to buy from you. They're going to want to believe what you say if they know that it's about them and not about you. And he said that will change. Plus, I've heard Bob Heilig say it many times. That will change the whole course of your business if you will just get the mindset that this is about the other person. This is not about me. So that was really, really big. Okay, we are at 7. Okay, the last thing I want to say before we stop this recording is that he was talking about becoming a raving fan of your product. And I think that's super important for our brand new people, that the way you become a raving fan is you have to take the products and you have to take them consistently. And he talked about trying every product that your company has so that you can have a story about that particular product. That should be a really big priority for you to try all of the Plexus products. And maybe you can't all try them all in 1 month. That's understandable. But as time goes on, add a product to your regimen so that you can see what that product does. You have to have a story to be able to tell. And if you're doing that in your organization, if you're really promoting all the products and not just the triplex or not just the slim accelerator, your team will really radically increase in profitability. And I can tell you that our team has a very, very high PV rate for our team. And that is because we have really been passionate about all the Plexus products, not just the Triplex, but we talk about educating people in all the different products, not just one or two or three things. And that's one thing he said, just become a raving fan, because if you're a raving fan, you can share and sell anything. You know, you may not consider yourself a salesperson, but if you believe that something's changing your life, if you believe that what you have can change somebody else's life, you can become a raving fan, and people will buy from you if they know that you really believe in this product. Anything to add to that?
No, it was a very good 24 hours. We didn't get to bed till very late last night. So it's a lot of information, and that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that we could share with you guys.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and Ron just stop the recording. Thanks you guys for listening to this one.